So here's what Stafit stands for. It's just looking at things from multiple perspectives, starting with the big picture, strategic. Who cares about big picture perspectives in a customer?
CEO.
CEOs, executives, maybe even high-level department managers, right? Can an operations person effectively answer a question about big picture strategic viewpoints? Not likely. So would you ask him that question? No. Why wouldn't you ask an operations person a strategic question?
Understand our organization. So
That's correct. That's exactly right. And that's what happens when you ask the wrong question, wrong perspective of the wrong person. And so there's a lot of planning that has to go into thinking of one or two or three great questions to have high impact with that person. It only takes a couple of great questions with one person for you to establish great trust and then continue the dialogue. Then they'll give you the ammunition you need for the rest of the conversation. Planning is about the first 5 minutes of the meeting. After that, you're in pretty good shape. Tactical means operational, day to day. The associate is more of how it impacts other managers. In your organization, think about how a manager in the marketing department might be impacted by a decision from a manager in the sales department versus someone in the IT department. There are consequences and impacts that cross departments. And so part of it is to ask questions cross-departmental. Hey, Bob, as you're looking to make this decision for your department, what impact does that have on the marketing department or manager and how they view this role? And then you might say, that's a good question. I hadn't thought about it. Maybe we should ask them. Now, if I asked you that question and you thought, well, that's a good idea, maybe we should ask them because this decision is going to impact them, what has that done to you in the selling environment?
Build credibility.
Absolutely. And it's brought in another perspective, and now you've built trust with this person because they see that you're thinking about implications across the organization, and if you're providing solutions that have positive implications across the whole organization, what does that do to the person who brought you in? Makes them look better, makes them build higher trust with you. So questions have enormous power across all of this. And then financial or the economic ones. We all ask the economic questions and the impacts. Well, price and delivery. What about individual, how individuals feel in the group? And then the last one is team. How does it impact my team, my group? So let's kind of go a little bit deeper into what all this means. And then you can review this on your own later, but it's really as simple as this. It's looking at projects, initiatives, plans, anything customers are looking at, parts, purchasing, operations, anything they're looking at, and looking at it from a different perspective so you have deeper insight. Looking at it from a strategic perspective, big picture. Looking at those same things from a day-to-day perspective. It's the same topics, different viewpoints. How many viewpoints or perspectives do you think you need to truly begin to understand what's happening? How many do you think it takes? 3 or 4? That could usually be that would be wonderful, but it might be a little bit of an overkill. Think of an object in the middle of the room. Any object. Okay? How many perspectives would you need to see to understand this object? What do you know about this object if this was accurate and this is all you could see? What do you know? Okay? What do you know now? What do you know now? Now, depends how it's structured, right? It's usually, if you can see something or understand something from at least 2 perspectives, you're most of the way there. Because most people usually only see it from 1. So the advantage you gain by getting to a second perspective gives you a huge advantage over your competition. If you can get to a point where you can get to 3 perspectives, And I've heard the term many times used to triangulate. Triangulate three different perspectives on something. You pretty much narrow down to what's happening. So a couple of perspectives give you a lot of insight. A third perspective pretty much covers all the things that are important. So think about perspectives being a way to triangulate or connect the dots on what's important so you really get it. Again, why do we want to have deeper insight to really understand? What are we after, ultimately? What's the value of having this kind of insight and information?